I'm Betty. Today we're going to make something that I always have hanging out in my fridge. It's one of those things that you can put on anything, and it doesn't matter if it's Asian, Greek, Italian, Mexican. It goes with almost everything. So I always just keep them in the fridge. And the best onions to be using for these pickled onions would be red onions. And not necessarily for flavor, but it just looks a lot better. So we're going to get the brine started first. So we're going to use 4 cups of white distilled vinegar. You can get a giant 2-gallon jug at Costco for about $3. Great for cleaning, great for other things too. So 4 cups of vinegar, about 4 tablespoons of kosher salt, and I use about a half a cup of sugar. You can omit it if you want to. They aren't going to be sweet, but it just takes that extra sting off. And then just to speed things up, I'm going to use boiling water. So I need equal amount hot water to the vinegar. So I need 4 cups. Get this going on the stove. You can get it to a boil, but we really just need all of the sugar and the salt to dissolve. So while this is going, we can start slicing our onions. We have our red onions here. I got them in a bag. Use maybe 4 large ones, maybe 6 to 7 smaller ones, because some of the ones I have are small. So I'm just gonna get the skins off. I'm gonna end up using this as my compost or garbage bin, and we're gonna put them through the food processor. I'm gonna use the thinnest shred, and I'll probably cut them in half so they're at least a half moon shape. I don't want full circles, and I don't really want smaller than a half moon. And then we'll get those going in here. By the time these are done, our brine should be all dissolved. Let's see, this is the best part. As easy as that. As you can see, they're nice, thinly shredded. Those will be perfect in our jars. All right, so I'm gonna keep doing these. Our mixture is almost done, and as soon as it's dissolved, I will just turn it off and let it start to cool, and I'll keep these going. All right, so all of our onions are sliced. I bought some fresh dill at the supermarket. Can you believe this entire thing, which is probably like 5 packages from a regular store, this was just like $1.50. Again, hit up your Asian markets or international markets, because you're gonna find amazing produce for a fraction of the cost. So I want these jars to look really nice and decorative, so I'm gonna put this dill kind of around the outside. And you can use any ball jar. You can buy these on Amazon, you can buy them in stores, but you can also just reuse jars that you have. This was a pasta sauce type of jar. This is, these were pickled banana peppers, so why not just pickle more stuff and put them in here? You don't need them to seal, and this stuff never goes bad. So as long as you're keeping it in the fridge, you can keep it for a year. It really isn't gonna go bad. So start off by taking a couple of these. If you need to trim the ends, you can, because we don't really need the end stuff. And then just throw them in your jar, swirl them around just a little bit so they get some space. The next thing you wanna do is add some peppercorns. I find it just kind of gives this more color and just some added flavor to it. And then stuff it with your onions. Stuff it as much as you can. You're gonna cover it with liquid, but you want as much in here as possible, because once they come in contact with the warm liquid, they're gonna release some of their own moisture and they're gonna shrink up. So even though you think it's super packed, it's really gonna loosen up as it sits. And these really are quick pickled onions. They could be ready in 10 minutes. You'll notice though, within a day in the fridge, the whole jar will get kind of bright pink, and then you'll know they're really like nice and pickled. If I were using a thicker onion, it might take a little longer, but that's why I wanted to use the really small setting. So I think that's about good enough. And then I'm gonna fill it up with the liquid. So let me pack the rest of these jars. And if you like more dill, add more dill. We don't need to give it a super dilly flavor. We just really just want some color and some texture. My favorite thing to use these would probably be tacos. Any kind of tacos, nachos, any kind of Mexican stuff. But I will say it sure makes a Greek salad or a Greek dinner faster. So get out your lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and just throw in some pickled onions. So you don't have to get out a whole new onion, cut it, chop it, and even then it's still a little bit bitey. It's easier just throw in some pickled onions. Or a gyro. Get some pita, get some leftover, meat that you have. Boom. Throw some tzatziki on it and some of these pickled onions, and you've got yourself a meal. Time to fill these up. This mixture is slightly cooled. I like that it's a little bit warm because then it will release all the juices from the onions. So fill it all the way up to the top, and then leave the lid off until they're fully cooled, and then you're gonna just seal them and store them in the fridge. I don't like that. No exact amount that's always gonna come out perfectly. If you have too much of this brine liquid or not enough. You know though, if you have too much and you don't use it, you're only gonna be out around like 40 cents. You know, depending on where you get your sugar and vinegar. It's really not expensive. And it's odd to me that you can't buy, this worked out perfectly, you can't buy pickled onions. I don't know why. They're fabulous. Maybe because they're just so easy you can make them at home. I have no idea. So there we go. And actually, because the onions were already slightly cool, these are actually very cool to the touch. So I can seal them at any time. And I'll show you what they look like tomorrow, but for now, they are delicious. They're pickling and they're doing their stuff. So don't forget, these are not shelf stable. They have to be in the fridge. They will never go bad, but they have to be refrigerated the whole time. So thank you for joining me at Go Beyond Betty, where you are taking whisks in the kitchen. Look at this amazing fast pickle stuff. You can even give this as a gift. And this is a used marinara jar. And it's lovely. You don't need the jar back. So be generous, be kind to one another, and thank you for joining me. We'll see you again soon. Bye. Oh, was I sucking it in? Make sure I'm serious. Don't worry about these going all over the floor.